What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Sniper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now, this week we are continuing with our coverage of some homebrew created by Matt Mercer of Critical Role, and we are talking about the Tragedy Bard. So if you want to throw a little bit of Shakespearean tragedy into your bard, this might just be your best choice. But of course, before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch this channel are not subscribed, so please help us out. Help us to get to 2,000 by the end of this year. I really think we can do it, but I need your help to get there. And of course, make sure you click the bell and share the video with your friends. So the Tragedy Bard is a very interesting take on not only the bard, but also just how to take advantage of certain situations in Dungeons & Dragons in general. This one plays around a lot with critical hits and natural ones, and making sure that you get the most out of both. And so this is really, really cool, right? There's a lot going on here that allows you to make the most of natural ones, and there's a lot of ways to make critical hits matter even more. Is it really good? Is it better than other bards? Let's find out. At level 3, we go ahead and pick up Poetry in Misery, and what this allows you to do is whenever you are within 30 feet of an ally who rolls a natural 1, you can use your reaction to gain back a use of your bardic inspiration. This is pretty cool, right? Now, yes, it is a 5% chance that this will happen. But you being allowed to take advantage of the failures of your friends is really cool. And where natural ones usually come in as a really fun role-playing opportunity, a really bad failure. Some people even use the critical failure box, the list that has been out there for a while. And so this can allow you to have something really good come out of that really bad failure. The only bad thing is that it probably isn't going to happen a whole lot unless someone's just rolling really poorly on a particular night, kind of like me basically every single night. Overall, this is an 8 out of 10. Bardic Inspiration is an amazing feature, and of course getting back uses of it is an amazing thing. I don't know if there's another subclass that allows you to gain back uses of Bardic Inspiration. There isn't one that's coming to my mind right off the bat. Let me know in the comments down below if there is. But I believe this is the only way that you could gain back uses of Bardic Inspiration outside of resting. That makes this very, very powerful and very unique. Also at level 3, we get Sorrowful Fate, and we can use one use of our Bardic Inspiration to change any type of saving throw that either we force or an ally forces into a Charisma saving throw. That's already really good, but it goes further. If the target fails this save, then you deal psychic damage equal to the roll of your Bardic Inspiration die. And if the target is reduced to 0 HP during this time, whether by your spell or by your psychic damage, then they have to utter these poetic final words before they die. And we can only use this once per rest. This is really powerful, even though it's once per rest. Charisma saves are one of the lowest saves out there for monsters. You know, normally we talk about how bad it is to force strength saves on a lot of monsters, especially constitution saving throws on a lot of monsters. A lot of monsters have really good con saves, right? Being able to change this to a charisma save is huge when you really want something to stick that normally would have a saving throw that is basically a guaranteed done deal, they're gonna pass it. I think this is fantastic. It does not guarantee success, but it sure helps. This is a 9 out of 10 feature. If we could use it like proficiency bonus times per day, I think I would give it a 10 out of 10, but it is very limited, unfortunately. But I mean, when this works, when this goes off, it's gonna make a big difference depending on what spell you used. At level 6, we get Tale of Hubris, and this takes us from one end of the die to the other. Whenever an ally gets crit, then we get to we get to make things really, really bad for the person that crit, our friend. So as long as we are within 60 feet of whoever got hit with a critical hit, which can be us, then we can use one of our Bardic Inspirations, and for 1 minute, the target will be crit from a roll of 18 to 20, and at 14th level, this goes up to 17 to 20. This is really good, right? This is basically almost guaranteeing that a critical hit will happen within the next minute. And of course, you only get one critical hit out of this. But I mean, come on. Your rogue comes comes up near you. Your paladin comes up. Things that really pop off on critical hits. This is gonna deal a ton of damage. So when your DM was gloating and saying, man, this is just the best, I crit you, take that, you just kind of Uno reverse that, and things get really bad for the opposing creatures. This is fantastic, and it doesn't say that there's any kind of limit on how many times you can use this. It's just number of reactions. So if your DM is rolling really hot, then you can just keep on blowing this feature as long as you have a reaction to spare. I think that's great. I think that's really, really nice. I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10 on this. The 60-foot range is great. The 1 minute timer or until it suffers a critical hit is really good. It doesn't guarantee anything, and obviously you have to be crit in order for this to work, but still it's really powerful. Also at level 6, we get Unstoppable, which is ironically the same name as a feature that we got on the Juggernaut Barbarian last week. If you haven't seen that, that'll be up in the iCard above for you. Very strange that he named 2 different features the same thing. Anyway, this feature is really interesting. And so whenever you make an attack roll or a saving throw, you can just give yourself a bonus of plus 10. But the next attack roll or saving throw that you make has a minus 10 penalty, and you can use this once per rest. This is cool, right? This can allow you to do some really amazing things. Either pass a saving throw that is either you do really well or you're banished, or you could even die or anything like that. This allows you to get out of that bad situation. You also could use it on an attack roll. So if a spell requires an attack roll, then that would work. Or if you're using a weapon, which is probably a little strange on this bard, but you could make it work. That also would work really, really well. I hate that we can't give this to friends, but I mean, it makes sense because that would be really crazy. You give this to a fighter with Great Weapon Master, and that's insane. The thing is, the minus 10 penalty to me is not as bad as it sounds. All it takes is an ally with the telekinetic feat or some other kind of effect that when you fail the save, it's really not that bad. And you can just kind of abuse this. So somebody uses the telekinetic feat right after this, you take your minus 10 to that saving throw, and oh no, you got moved 5 feet. And so you've negated the entire bad part of this ability. So there are ways around this, right? It's not going to necessarily always be a bad thing. Yes, it'll suck if your GM gets to its initiative before you get to, burn this, but overall, I do think that it is worth it overall to save yourself on a saving throw, and then maybe you can manipulate the other. So I think it ends up working out to your favor in the end. Overall, this is an 8 out of 10 feature, again, because of the limited usage. This is once per rest, and so we're starting to see a really bad, in my opinion, trend with this subclass is that almost everything is tied to a short rest, and you get to use it one time. Otherwise, you are generic bard, right? That's a little tough for me. I would have liked to have seen proficiency bonus times per day. I know that that's very powerful for some of these things, but I think it would have really rounded out this kit a lot better. At level 14, we get Nimbus of Pathos, and this is kind of the Super Saiyan ability to give to one of your friends. So for the next minute, we can give this to a friend or to ourselves. It doesn't matter as long as the creature is willing, and they get a number of benefits. The first, they get a +4 to AC, which is huge, advantage on all attack rolls and saving throws, and when the creature hits with a weapon attack or spell, the target takes 1d10 extra radiant damage. Those are all fantastic. Everyone is going to want this. And the drawback is that any weapon attack against the creature scores a crit on an 18 to a 20. So yes, that's bad, right? That is bad. But number one, it's only weapon attacks. So any kind of natural weapon, so a claw attack or a spell or anything like that, those don't count. And so it's only weapons that you get crit on an 18 to 20. And if this were to happen and they get crit, then Tale of Hubris jumps in and they get Uno reversed. So this really is not bad. That drawback there, in my opinion, is just a great way to Uno reverse the opponent that then tries to take advantage of it. I think there's no downside to this. I think it's fantastic. It is once per long rest, but it is for 1 minute. And then it also combos into earlier features. This is a 10 out of 10 feature. You can't possibly go any lower on this feature. So where do we land on the Tragedy Bard? This thing's pretty powerful, right? Overall, I think it's really good. The only problem that I have with this subclass is that almost every ability is just once per rest. And that makes it feel really limited to me. That makes you feel like generic Bard. Oh, look, I did this one thing and then you're done, right? That kind of sucks for me. You don't have like a passive effect that's always going or something that you can use a bunch of times on a rest. There's no spam ability on this Bard, and that's just a little tough for me. However, because the abilities are so strong, I still think this gets a 9 out of 10 overall. It's a very strong Bard. The Bard kit is already amazing, and you give +4 AC and advantage on all attack rolls and saving throws to a creature for a minute. And the only drawback is that they get crit a little more often, but then you can make the opponent that just hit you get crit on a 17 to 20 by the time you're at level 14. I think that's fantastic, and I think it's more than worth it. This is a very strong subclass. So that is all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the Tragedy Bard down below. Later this week, we're going to be building one together, so I hope you are looking forward to that. And until then, stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.